At this time, I'd like to introduce the president of the Hudson Valley Wine and Drinks Association, Michael Nigliori, and John Thompson, the vice president.
Welcome, everybody. I really appreciate your support of Hudson Valley Wine. We have a wonderful evening to carry the best of the Hudson Valley wines with a wonderful menu from the CIA. I think you're going to really be surprised at the quality level that is going to be shown to you tonight, particularly on the top award wines that will be served in your dinner. With that, I want to present John Hudson, Vice President of the Hudson Valley Wine and Drinks Association, and he'll tell you a little bit about the top award.
Great. Well, thank you all for coming. Do we want to talk about the awards award-winning wines that you had out there? How many of you had the Savoie Blanc?
First, let's talk about the wineries that didn't get a chance to make it down here this evening. I'll go over what they won. First of all, you had Baldwin, Magnani, Oak Summit, Kalea, and Warwick. Baldwin won for their 2006 Merlot of bronze. Magnani won the 2006 Bianco and Memo in the silver category. Oak Summit won for their 2006 Pinot Noir, a silver medal. Kalea won a non-vintage Mead, a bronze medal. Warwick Valley won a non-vintage Pear Liqueur, a gold medal. And the Warwick Valley Wineries also took home a non-vintage Black Currant, a silver medal with that one. The best sparkling wine is Brotherhood Blanc de Blanc. Colleen, would you please stand up and receive your silver medal for Brotherhood Blanc de Blanc?
Hello, my name is Paul Danino from Bastrop Vineyards. I'm the first commercial winery in Sullivan County, located in Wardsboro, New York. My vineyard is located in front of the Bastrop wetland, which gives me a little microclimate and a full capital. Growing 100% organic. The wines though that are made now are from purchase grapes. I'm getting my first crop this fall. Thank you.
One is, several years ago, we had a wonderful person from Cornell helping us with our enology and improving our enology in Hudson Valley. She was giving seminars. Her name was Dragana Dimitri. And she has returned back to Serbia. She was fantastic, very helpful. But one of the things she brought up was a marketing question about trying to sell many of the hybrid wines that we have by their name, such as varietals, such as Savoie Blanc. But nobody knows Savoie Blanc. The rest of the world doesn't know Savoie Blanc. The Northeast does, Northeast United States, but the rest of the world doesn't. So if you really want to sell it, you're going to have to develop a name that associates it with your place and with your style of wine. So immediately that set up some, spark, and we got together 2 years ago at Michael Migliori's. There were about 12 or 14 wineries represented. We talked about what we would want for a style of a wine that would be a Hudson Heritage White. We didn't know the name at that time. We spent another 6 months debating the name and came up with that. Basically, this is what when you go to a wine store, and most of you know what a Bordeaux is, right? Raise your hand. You know what a Bordeaux is. It comes from Bordeaux. Yeah, it's a blend of certain grapes. A Medoc is a blend of certain grapes. They almost always are limited in terms of the grapes that can be in the blend. Cabernet Sauvignon, Cabernet Franc, and Merlot. This, likewise, we wanted something associated with a name, a place, an identity, like Chateauneuf-du-Pape and the Rhone. We wanted a place name that we would associate with this wine. It would be a Savoie Blanc-based wines. The Sauv Blanc is grown here quite a bit. We came up with the idea of Hudson Heritage White, and this past year was the first year where we actually had 3 people competed in the Hudson Heritage White competition, and Michael's won a silver medal for this, and I'd like to award him the silver medal for this.
Will get behind this for war. A lot of the people in this audience that are winemakers grow Cheval. I think we can actually make a name for ourselves and convince the world that Hudson Heritage White is the right thing. And next year being the 350th anniversary of Henry Hudson, I think we stand to really have a great market competition. Thank you very much.
And along with everyone else has, I'd like to thank you all for coming out and support our nice wineries here in the Hudson Valley, and have a fun night here at Culinary. I'll just say a couple quick words about Tokai Friulano, since it's not a real mainstream grape. It's grown originally in the Friuli region of northeastern Italy. Makes aromatic white wine. Good, real nice food wine, pairs well with a lot of different styles of food. It's a good summertime wine, and we've been growing it in Millbrook since 1989, and have worked over the years to really try to refine the style and the way we make the wine, and I appreciate getting some nice medal tonight for us.
2004, I was hired by Eric Miller, and I said, well, what do you guys grow here? He said, well, all that's left is Baco Noir. And honestly, I was disappointed to find that out. And I'm like, oh, Baco. Let's open that. There was Pinot Noir or something growing here. But after working for a few years with the variety and tasting some of the cellar wines and talking to some of the old associate team members from Benmore Winery, I realized that, I was kind of carrying on a tradition of Baco. And, it's sort of, after a while I became, sort of honored to be, nurturing these old, some of them being 50-year-old wines. So I started to do a little research about Baco Noir, and I started buying Baco Noir from Oregon, and I started getting some bottles from the Niagara Escarpment and tasting Baco Noir from wherever I could possibly find it and do tasting. And I found that it produced an excellent wine. And, it does have a bad reputation, but it doesn't mean you can't make a great wine out of it. We also had the opportunity to try some bottles from the cellar, and, we explored the Benmore cellar. We found a 1969 Baco Noir, 1972. So we're trying.
Thank you very much, and I want to say a few things before we talk about specifics about what we do at Clinton Vineyards. First of all, I am thrilled to see so many familiar faces here, people with whom Ben and I work in the wine business, and customers who are here tonight because they heard about this wonderful event and thought it would be a neat thing to do on a Friday evening, as indeed it is. I think we all agree this is a superb event, and I congratulate the CIA and the organizers from our side of the wine business for putting it together. A couple of things I just want to say in reference to what Michael was discussing about the Hudson Valley. I've been very privileged to work on the board of the New York Wine and Grape Foundation, representing the Hudson Valley. And I was especially honored to be chosen as the first woman to serve as chair of that organization. And one of the things of interest to me was that in spite of the fact that I and Ben are small vineyard operators, and that they chose to have the first woman and small winery owner from the Hudson Valley to lead the organization. And I was constantly, and I continue to be constantly on the case. And Michael and a lot of you in this room, Steve Castles knows this too, about really trying to get people to pay attention to the Hudson Valley. Because for a lot of years, we were really in the dust. Obscured in some respects by the Finger Lakes because a mass of wineries, and Long Island, which has a very large number of wineries operated by people who have very, very, very deep pockets. And here in the Hudson Valley, we have a unique mix of things. We have vineyards, wineries that are owned by families, like this duo here. And we have others who are larger, but who still are family-owned and operated. And the concept around here is very different from that of other places. And we have challenges here in the Hudson Valley that they don't have in the Finger Lakes and in Long Island. And so it is really an exciting time for us here. And we all know it and we feel it. And thanks to the people here, I hate to use political expressions, but people on the ground, literally, with their hands in the ground, who speak to it, that we get recognized. That we get people like Steve Castle, Senator Larkin, Senator Delanforth, our representative, Cahill, who understand what we're doing here, and they are behind us. But they wouldn't be behind us if it wasn't for all of you out there, the people who really toil in the vineyards, who do the work and produce the wine. And years ago, it wasn't only New York Hudson Valley wines that were kind of being ignored. It was all of New York wines that were being ignored. And there was a bum rap that we were getting, that New York wines were lousy. Well, friends, that has changed. And we are standing up very tall, very proud, excited about the kinds of wines we're making in the state, statewide, and what we're doing here in the valley. And I have to tell you that we are really excited to be part of that. And it's marvelous to be having this sense of collegiate working together, making things happen, and moving forward with great things. For me, someone asked me to talk a little bit about what we're doing. Well, Clinton Vineyards will be celebrating our 30th vintage on June 14th at an event at Clinton Vineyards, with whom I share the podium. I have not been here for 30 years. I came here as a young child. Someone is laughing very loud over there on my right. But anyway, my husband, who brought me here as a child bride, has the distinction of being the most senior, not stakeholder, the most senior continuing owner operator of the vineyard, not in New York State and probably in the United States. And that's we're not ashamed to say that Ben celebrated his 85th birthday. Moving right along, folks. We may be nuts, but the R word for retirement seems not to be in our vocabulary, so we keep doing it. And before I get too far away from the subject, I want to acknowledge someone here in the audience who is very important to us, and that is Chris Stewart, who is our general manager, who's very handsome fellow here at the table. And if you've been to Clinton Vineyards, you know how very beautiful it looks and how wonderful everything is, and in large part that has to do with Chris's efforts. Before I have Ben say a couple of words about our wine, there's one other thing I want to tell you about. First sculptor, but he doesn't know how to do the tango.
say a few words about the wine that they're pouring now, Arcus. This is something that I have two people besides my wife to credit as the help. And the first one is Steve McKay, who's with who is an expert especially leaders, which are the current. And we have been making this now no longer as a experimental wine through his help and getting the law changed and so forth and so on. Because as you may know or may not know, black currants have been illegal to grow in the United States for the past few years. Because of the fact that the plant itself carries the fever, a disease that attacks the white pine tree. And the lumber industry has caused that. It's now possible to grow it as long as you're 4.5 miles away from the tree farm and so forth and so on. The story is we're trying to get rid of the